Hello, dear friends. Let's talk about social entanglement. Humans lives deeply and they are connected. They are connected by quantum mechanics. We are talking about the quantum mechanics of society. And we started our discussions from particles and we moved these particles, we moved quantum mechanics from particles to the human beings. So today we'll be talking about the very basic and fundamental concept in quantum mechanics, what we call as entanglements. So what if I tell you that some of your decisions that you are making, they are not entirely yours. They don't entirely belong to you. They are not completely your part. The emotions that you have, that your emotions, your thoughts, your reactions to the circumstances, and all of these things are quietly influenced. They are influenced by people who are not even present. What if I tell you that? What if I tell you the distances does not truly separate us? We are always entangled. And somewhere in ways we don't fully understand. So the human lives remain deeply connected. And this connection that is between the human beings, in physics, there is a phenomenon. And this phenomenon is extremely strange. It's sometimes called spooky action. It's so strange. It was called spooky action by Einstein that even scientists once refused to believe it. And Albert Einstein was one among them. So, what we have, if you have two particles and they interact, now you separate these particles by vast distances. Even though they are separated by vast distances, they are connected. If you change one particle, if you change the state of one particle, the other particle that's very far away from the first particle will instantaneously respond. And there will be no delay between the two particles. Even though there is no visible connection between these two particles. And this action is called entanglement. And friends, today we'll be talking about entanglement, but we will try to impose entanglement to the society. We'll try to connect this idea with human society. And we would like to generate a relation. So, what we have relationships, emotions, families, and a collective life. We have a frame of life. Every individual has a frame of life living in. And some of the people may be close to us, and some of the people will be far, and some might be extremely far. So the idea is basically to talk about social entanglement. So the point is that our humans are human lives deeply connected? So this is the argument, and we would like to the have the connecting journey. Now let's go back. Let's recall where we stand. What we have done is that we discovered previously that humans are not fixed. They have superposition existing in them. And once an act of observation is made on them, the observation changes behavior. And this is what we call as observation effect. And then we had an argument like saying that there are labels given to the humans. So labels shape identity. And that is basically the measurement problem. Now, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to go a little bit deeper into this argument. And what we say, what we ask, are we truly independent individuals? One individual is completely independent of another individual, or we are deeply interconnected systems. There's a connection, and there's a deep down connection between the human beings that build a society. And we would like to connect it. We would like to understand this entanglement. And we'll try to make it simple. We'll try to make a simple argument. Let us simplify this idea. Let's break it down. Now, again, I'm going to tell you that in physics, what we have, two particles. These two particles interact. They have interacted. And after that interaction, you have an interaction between the two particles. After that interaction, they cannot be described separately. You cannot describe one particle separately, independent of another particle, even if you move them far apart. They remain connected. They have a connection. The act of measurement on one particle will instantaneously make an effect on the other. So their states are interlinked. They have a connection. Now, think about the human life. Now, let's take it to those macroscopical bodies that are made of these quantum mechanical particles. Is this idea really so strange? Might be feeling strangeness in this argument. What we have something called as emotional connection. And this emotional connection is beyond the presence. You are emotionally connected to some person. And even though the person is not in front of you, and you have always experienced these kinds of things, a feeling for a person. So, even though there is no communication. So, what am I trying to tell here is that you are feeling about another person, but there's no communication. And you suddenly feel uneasy. You feel uneasy. And later on, what do you find out? Later on, you find out that someone close to you was in trouble. And this is something that humans experience. Or you think about someone so intensely, so powerfully, and they call you. And this is unexpected. This is unexpectedly happening. So probably you can say, it's a coincidence. I was thinking about you and you entered the house. I was thinking about you and you made a call. And I was thinking about you and something happened. Or maybe, but it raises a question. It raises a question. Do connections go deeper than physical presence? The argument is quite simple. The argument is quite understandable. And it's happening every moment, every day. So, can I imagine that a family is an entangled system? Let's look at families. What families are just a group of individuals living in a system. And most of the individuals are deeply connected. They are deeply connected in those systems. They have a connection. We can think about the emotional ripples in these families now. Now, what ripples I'm trying to tell about here is that if one member is stressed, the the atmosphere changes. The whole of the atmosphere of the family changes. The other fellows, they feel tense. Others feel the tension. There's a shift in the reactions. Even maybe nobody is speaking in the family, everybody is mum, but there is the shift of an environment if one person has a problem. So the state that this person is carrying, it's spreading. It's spreading. Now, ask, did one person change or did the entire family, did the entire system showed a shift? A positive shift, a negative shift, that's not the point of contention here is, but there is a shift that can be physically experienced. And what we have relations. And when we have relations, we share the states. Now, if we go deeper into the concept, if we go close to the relationships, what you do, somebody is very close to us, you begin to share your emotional states, your emotional quantum states to your friends or to your relatives or to anybody who's close to you. Now, if I boil down this story to the two friends, you have two close friends. They laugh at the same things. They understand each other without any explanation. They feel each other's moods, each other's moments. And sometimes one is silent, not talking, and the other still understands that what he's trying to say, or even if he's not saying anything, he or she is able to understand what's going on. And why this accuracy? Why? Because their experiences, their interaction have created deep connections. They have created the connections that cannot be broken. They have not connected an electromagnetic interaction between them. So, this connection, when extended to the individuals in the society, leads to what's called as social entanglement. Just like in physics, entanglement is not something randomly happening, it's created, it's generated through the interaction. So you are entangled via interaction. The more two people share at macroscopic state, I mean to say, the more they share experiences, communicate deeply, spend time with each other, the stronger connection, the stronger is the connection. The strong connection becomes between them. And that connection cannot be broken. That connection will stand forever. Let's take an example of a teacher and a student. Let's go back to the classroom situation. What does a teacher do? A teacher who deeply engages with the students. You have a teacher, he is interacting with the students, he's engaging with the students. What he does, he begins to influence them. He begins to influence them beyond that classroom. And what we see years later, the student still carries. The student carries the arguments of his teacher, the struggle of his teacher, the struggle of his or her teacher, the teacher's ideas, the teacher's voice, the teacher's influence. Because the teacher was most of the time interacting with these students. So even in absence, there is a connection, there is an entanglement. The connection remains there. So this is how we can build an argument for the society that we are talking about. And we can extend this concept to the collection of the pupil. The pupil that you have surrounding you, they have those connections. Now expand this idea to a society. We started from these two particles. Now we move to the entire society. Entire communities can be entangled. And what does it mean now? We can extend to understand that this whole society is entangled by taking an example. If I take an example of say during major events, what happens is there is spread of joy. Joy spreads, it spreads rapidly. And then there is another class, and that's fear. The fear, it spreads rapidly. Maybe anger. Anger spreads rapidly. People who have never met, people who have never talked to each other, begin to feel similar emotions. It is like, it's as if the system is reacting as a whole, as one. How can we understand it? Say, take an example of social media. In social media, you can have amplified entanglement. In today's world, the world of technology, the world where technology is at its best, in today's world, connections have become even stronger. You have strong connections through the social media. And you have sometimes viral reactions. One video appears online, and within a short span of time, maybe within a minute, millions of people react. The emotions spread, the opinions spread. They spread very fast. The people that are across the continents, they are across the globe, they respond. They respond almost simultaneously. Distance is no longer a barrier for them. And the system behaves like the connected network. It is technically speaking a connected network, but the people are taking part in that network. So you are not isolated. You are connected to everything. And if we go deeper in this idea, you think your identity is yours, but is it so? Is it really you? Is it really you who is doing all the stuff? What you do is you speak a language, and you speak the language that you have learned from others. You hold beliefs, and you hold beliefs that are shaped by the environment in which you are living. What you're doing then is you carry values, and these values are passed through generations. So, so ask yourself, ask a question, come up with an argument, come up with a question. Where do you end and others begin? Now, let me take you to the influences that are invisible. The influences can be invisible, but still there are connections. There is no actual influence. Some connections are not obvious. What I'm trying to tell here is they are subtle. They exist. And how can I understand this argument? The example may be a mood transfer. We keep on changing our mood. You meet someone who is very positive, and you're very optimistic about it. And you may feel positive. And after some time, you feel lighter, you feel relaxed. Now you meet Someone who is negative, a pessimist, and you feel like drained, you feel like broken. There's no physical exchange. You don't touch that. He's not touching you. Yet something has has transferred between you and him. There is a transfer of something. Maybe you cannot measure that, but there is a transfer. There is a transfer. And it's because of those entangled connections, we can say. So, as I said, the society as a whole is an entangled system of particles. And this idea has deep consequences. And if we are connected, everybody is connected, then certainly, surely, our actions are not isolated. The actions that we have, they're coming out of that system. Your behavior affects the behavior of others, and vice versa. Your words affect the others, and vice versa. And your emotions, they affect, they influence others, and vice versa. Let's try to go a little more into the concept. So ask yourself a question. What kind of influence do you carry when there is no physical touch? Do you actually spread calm, or there is chaos, hope, or fear, strength, or weakness? Because in an entangled system, in an entangled society, everything propagates. And the propagation is not electromagnetic in nature. It's not electric, it's not magnetic. And these connections, you may have the breaking of the connections, you may have the creation of new connections. The connections that are there, they are not permanent. What they can do is they can strengthen, they can weaken, they can break. But once these connections are formed, once there is entanglement, they leave the traces. You cannot completely break the two connections, the two entangled particles, the two entangled individuals. Even if they have those circumstances, they don't want to think about each other, but still they are connected. Even when people leave your life, their influences remain in you. Their influences remain in your thinking. They remain in your behavior. They live with you in your memories. As long as you are a coordination of these molecules that you are made of, This is the echo of entanglement that can be moved from these two entangled particles to a system in which you have people living together in a society. So the separation is an illusion. Even if you are separate physically, it's not real. We often believe, oh, come on, now I'm an independent person. Now I'm so beautiful, I'm separate. But this may be an illusion because at a deeper level, because at a level where from you are being grown into an individual, we are part of the connected system. We are the part of entangled system. And let's close this argument. We've talked a lot about it. We've tried to understand it. We've tried to mesmerize it to the real societies. Let me leave you with a powerful thought. Let me say goodbye to you, but with a powerful thought. If two tiny particles can remain connected across vast distances, vast doesn't mean from Delhi to from Delhi to some other country. Vast means infinity. What happens? There is emotions, memories, relationships, and shared experiences. All of these things, they don't break. So, can I say that? Are we really separate? Are we separate, or are we part of something that's deeply connected, that has a deep connection, a connection that can go to infinity, that can go to another edge of the galaxy? Perhaps every interaction, every interaction you have ever had still lives within you. It still shapes you. It still makes you. It still breaks you. But it's there. It still connects you. It's your part because you have had an interaction. So, guys, with this, I would like to close this argument. And in probably in the next video, what we'll be talking about is we will explore some non-local societies. Here we have been in a framework of a society, and now here we'll be talking about the non-local societies. That means how distant events instantaneously affect us. And till then, remember this. I hope you remember this. What? Remember what? You are not alone. You are connected. You are entangled. You are entangled in ways you may not yet fully